What is a day in the life of a consultant like? No matter how you look at a management consultant, at the end of the day they are still regular people who go on with their daily lives like the rest of us. The only difference that they might have is the time they wake up or the time they sleep, if they do sleep at all. Mind you though, there are some of us who have messed up sleeping patterns, maybe even similar to these management consultants. Disclaimer though, how it is described below is not how all consultants' days go. There are various variables that need to be taken into consideration. For example, location of the client, because that will determine what time a consultant should be preparing. Secondly, how large their team is, because that will help you identify how much workload they have, which in turn determines what time of the day they should start their day, because the fewer the members of the team are, the earlier they need to begin working. If you're new here, consider subscribing to this channel to continue receiving great weekly videos on consulting. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can get informed every time I publish a new video. Without further ado, a consultant's day starts with him getting himself ready for work. On most occasions, they wake up to the sound of their alarms. That signals the start of their day. And when they do, a day's breakfast is the first thing they go for. A cup of coffee, some bread, or if they have time, they can quickly whip up a batch of pancakes. However, this is only applicable to those who live in their own homes. On most occasions, they might live in a hotel because they want to be as close to the client as possible to cut down on travel time. Unfortunately, there are others who need to travel by air before to reach their client's destination. In this case, they have to wake up even earlier, considering the travel time they have. In fact, there are consultants who wake up as early as 4:30 in the morning at least to ensure they are on time, because they also need to keep in mind travel to the airport. Luckily, there is less traffic at that time on the road. The morning preparation. Upon meeting with the team or when they arrive at the airport, the first place they go is to the client's site. Sometimes there is a main headquarters set up or a satellite location. However, if major updates are going to be shared or prepared, they normally go to the main headquarters, where they will meet with the project manager. Project managers are those who are tasked with leading the team of consultants. They may find someone from the client's organization, or they can also be someone senior in the consultant's consulting firm, assigned by the heads of the agency to lead the team. Regardless, they are the ones who you provide updates to regarding the tasks that a consultant was assigned with. Additionally, if they have a meeting with the client for the day, it is customary to receive confirmation of their attendance. This is when your team's relationship with their assistant comes into play. They can make or break you because they are expected by the CEOs to get their calendar up. If they like you, they can prioritize your meeting. A quick call normally gets it done, and once the team gets the confirmation of their attendance, they can continue polishing their presentation. Make sure that they do not miss any details necessary, so it does not leave the clients with any question for them to raise. And by doing so, impress them enough that they will be convinced of the recommendation and approve it for implementation. It might also be good to update the project manager once you have gone through your presentations, especially if you did not miss anything. On the other hand, if you did miss anything and are struck and are clueless on what to do, by updating them, they may well be able to help, considering that they are not busy with their own task as well. On the other hand, there are also consultants who do not have the job yet, and the only difference between the two is what they do in the morning. Instead of preparing for a presentation, they prepare for an interview, and normally this requires a research team to do their due diligence prior. They send the question back to the consultant for them to study. If the client lives in another country and uses a different language, it will be the consultant responsibility to make sure that you get a translator booked to get these questions translated at least an hour and a half before the interview for them to study. It is highly recommended by most consultants that you book the translator's time for 2 hours. Experience shows that this is how much time it takes them to get all the session questions translated. At least that way, you do not have to rush them in getting it done. Starting from noon, there are 2 ways that this goes for the consultant. First, obviously, is for lunch, which is easily dealt with unless there are no food shops in the building. Secondly, If the team is set to have another meeting with the CEO that day, the entire team, including the associates, will catch up with one another to run through the presentation. Having more eyes on the project allows for questions to be raised beforehand. It would even be more beneficial if one of the associates in the catch-up meeting who are privy to the CEO's thoughts, so that certain questions can be raised beforehand. Once the catch-up is done, that is the time for lunch. The afternoon. The highlight of the afternoon is always the presentation. This is normally done by the project manager, and every member of the team will just be in the corner, quietly listening until a question is thrown their way. Answering is dependent on who created the slide and conducted the research, because there will be questions asked. That is why it is better if you prepare possible questions raised and how you're going to answer them. In fact, many consultants have their answers rehearsed in their head. After the meeting, a debrief is done before the associates will call the team once more to remind the entire team of any further meetings during that day. On most occasions, this was already mentioned in the morning catch-up. However, if you are still about to go in the afternoon for an interview with the client, it normally just means gathering as much data as possible so that you can use it in coming up with a strategy. It is vital, however, that you know what the end goal is or what the client desires at the end of your partnership. Also, you might want to get their connections as well. They will be helpful in pulling some strings for you, although there is a possibility that they will provide these contacts without you even asking for them. Once you have all the information you need, as a consultant on a deadline, you start reaching out to these individuals or groups to get your work started. The earlier you start, the more significant information you will have. Also, the more time you give yourself to review your presentation and the accuracy of the data that comes out of your research. If any problems or negative feedback were brought up by the client, an engagement officer may come to their desk and discuss the problems. They will help them come up with solutions, because this is what consultants are hired for. Home and after hours. Before the day ends, another debrief is done by the managers to summarize the day. Some, especially those who had a successful meeting with their clients, might skip this and ask their team to go home early. For those who go through a debrief, this is when updates are given to the managers and summarize the findings. Consultants might also receive their next assignment for the next day or for the week before being dismissed completely. For those who still have work to do, they grab a quick dinner and a short break before going into work gear once more. This is based on the fact that some of a client's or firm's partners work in different countries or cities who might be running in a different time zone than them. That is why it's best if they send requests as early as possible to get answers by the time their associates start working. Others, those who are able to manage time well, are able to squeeze in at least an hour to go to the gym and work out. However, that is not always the case. Then they end their day with sleep, when they feel like they have done the majority of their tasks for the next day. The life of a consultant is never fixed. Problems can easily come up which throws their entire day into a disarray. Important individuals unable to attend meetings, change in meeting times, cancelled meetings, data that does not meet up to expectations, or corrupted files necessary for the presentation. They also have to consider time zones of partners and associates, not to mention traffic on your way to work. The day of a management consultant is as hectic as it is inconvenient to most. However, some of them just like it the way it is and get a good rush as soon as their meetings end with a smile, a congratulations, and a handshake. If you like the video, give us a like so we can make more videos like this one, and tell us in the comment section below what type of video you want. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more weekly videos.